it's my job to oversee all of our operations here at Bigger Vision, our shelter staff and our administrative staff. Of course, there's a lot of big picture things like managing our budget, things like that, community relationships and partnerships, and of course, working with our board of directors to ensure that we're operating in the best way possible.
Yeah, and so why do you see a need for places like Bigger Vision?
It's really a response to a need in the community. There are people living unsheltered who don't have a safe place to sleep and to get access to really important basic things. So as long as that need is in the community, then we'll be here to respond to it.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you know a little bit about this. We were kind of talking about this through email, but there was something called like the encampment, the First Step encampment. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about why they wanted to set something like that up or how the planning went into that?
Yeah, so I can speak to it to a degree. Mm-hmm. It was in a lot of ways a response to the number of unsheltered people living in Athens, especially in a particular area. And the idea was to have a space, a legalized space for people who are living unsheltered, living in tents, to be able to reside and not have to worry about being charged with trespassing or things of that nature, and also have a place for social workers from First Step or other agencies to be able to go and feel confident that they could find the same clients, that they wouldn't have to go through the woods, which can be dangerous. And then, of course, access more comprehensive services, try to get into housing, gainful employment, things like that.
Yeah. And throughout all of that with Bigger Vision and a couple other places like that, how do you think it's going to take to work in some other place? I think Athens has done a pretty good job with seeing the need for the homelessness, but some other places don't understand that. So how do you think that's going to work in other places? How do you think something like First Step or Bigger Vision can be made possible?
I think that's a great question. I feel like a huge part of it is probably community buy-in, right? So if the community in question, if the majority of people don't think that it's an appropriate response or a temporary solution to a housing crisis, then it's probably not going to succeed, right? So I think for places maybe where that's not the consensus, if there are people who feel like it would be beneficial, trying to educate people on why they think that would be beneficial, that ideally it is not a long-term solution, it's a short-term solution, and with the end goal, of course, being people moving out of a camp like that into a stable home, having gainful employment, right, so they can contribute to their own income, and being, productive members of society, for lack of a better term.